Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and welcome to your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest news and updates that are happening right here in our city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined as always by your City Manager, Mark Roloff. So welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
So we're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of today's show, Mark. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll return with the review of the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, February 28th, 2017. So first thing that we want to talk about on our hot topics and updates for the week here is the rental inspection program. Of course, it's been a very big topic of conversation the past few weeks, and maybe we can just kind of give a little bit of an update of where it's at right now.
Sure. Well, as you know, the court ruled against putting an injunction in place, so that gave us the green light to proceed with the program. We've been contacting people and making appointments, and I don't know if inspections have started immediately, but I know that the inspections are being scheduled, and so our inspectors will be underway, if they haven't already been underway, very, very shortly.
Sure. And so since inspections either have just started or are going to be starting pretty soon, have you heard any concerns or anything expressed from the tenants that are going to be inspected?
I think there's a little confusion with some of the tenants because they've received letters from their landlords, and they seem to be varying around similar themes, but certainly indicating that there are things we're going to be looking for that we're not. We have a specific list of about 30 items that we're looking for, all health and safety related, and there's some things that we're going to be, I think some things were sent out to the university area that we were going to be looking for, liquor and drug paraphernalia. You know, that's not the purpose of the program, and that's not what we're looking for. It's disappointing that those things would be misrepresented when we've been very specific. In fact, we have an obligation to only look for those things that are on that list. So I'm a little disappointed that information is going out there. And I think there's also some confusion because there's some inferences that residents are going to be charged for the inspections. Certainly costs can be passed along, but there may be some landlord-tenant issues that we can't respond to that I think some tenants are genuinely interested in, and they may need to consult with somebody. There are advocacy groups for tenants that they could certainly seek out, but I think there's some misinformation out there, and to me it seems like they're trying to discourage the tenants from allowing inspections. It's the tenant's right to not request an inspection. If they don't want an internal inspection, we won't do one, but we don't think it's appropriate that you misinform the people to discourage them from getting an inspection done at all. If they have a legitimate concern, they should be able to have a third party independently evaluate their property.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it all goes back to the health and safety of our residents here in Oshkosh. And so the amount of misinformation that has kind of been circulating over the past almost year, I guess, since the inspection first came up, we definitely encourage people to visit the website because all of the correct information, and it's all very laid out. I think we have a frequently asked questions on there for people who have different concerns with the program, and a lot of the checklist is on there, so we definitely encourage people to visit the city website. It's all right there on the Hot Topics page, and if you do have any questions, feel free to call our inspections department as well.
Absolutely.
So, next thing that we want to talk about and discuss here today, Mark, is the Oshkosh Area Humane Society had recently received a grant from the Petco Foundation, and that's dealing with actually a cat spay and neuter program, which we don't typically talk much about here on CMR, is some cats.
We don't talk about it a lot. The city contracts with the Humane Society to manage the humane shelter, the animal shelter, as well as assist in taking care of strays, as well as also addressing the population. So this program that they started, the timing is great because we had a resident come a few months ago to the council saying you need to do something about all of the feral cats out in the area. Mm-hmm. Now the solution that seems to be the appropriate cutting edge may not be the right term, but state of the art, is to spay and neuter the feral cats and then reintroduce them back out into that same habitat so that they prevent the population from increasing. The idea is that if you took them out completely, when I'm told, took them out completely, the cats that could continue to procreate and everything could increase the population back to its normal numbers. But if you introduce spayed and neutered cats, you actually help reduce the population. That's the theory. I'm not an expert on it, but what they want you to do is, if you think you need some assistance in getting some feral cats spayed or neutered, give the Humane Society a call. There's the number, 920-424-2128, and talk to them, and they may be able to assist you in getting hold of those cats, getting them taken care of, and then hopefully helping reduce the population.
Definitely. And we'll be posting that on the city website as well for people who are interested in taking advantage of that service. Otherwise, the Humane Society is a great resource for any questions that you might have as well about feral cats here in the community or otherwise.
And you can also call our police department if you're aware of something. Our police department, they have the Humane Society on their speed dial, and they will certainly assist in getting you in touch with the Humane Society, so that if you do have an issue of dogs running loose, cats running loose, that they will also assist in that regard.
Wonderful. Well, that's kind of a great update to talk about, especially something that people might not think about all that often. So moving on to our next item, Mark, it is that time of year again. It's time for the citizen survey. They have been sent out, so we want to encourage people to keep an eye out for them if they do receive them, and really encourage them to fill it out. So maybe you can kind of give us just an overview for those of us who aren't familiar with the citizen survey.
Well, the citizen survey is entering its 9th year. This was started by the council actually prior to me getting here, and it was about getting a feel for what budget priorities there were for the residents. And we've morphed that into something that's become a lot more than that. It does seek some input on budget priorities, but it also asks the residents, what do you think about the importance of certain city services, as well as the quality of those services? And then we ask them to rate us on a bunch of other things. And because we've been doing it for so many years and the questions are pretty consistent year to year, we have a good benchmark set of data, and we can compare ourselves. Are we doing better in some regards? Are we maybe slipping in some areas? I'm happy to say that there's a lot of improvement shown in a lot of areas. Over the years, issues like the Buckstaff property and the Pioneer have typically come up, and you can see how the public opinion has changed on those types of things. For a while, impatience growing because things were taking so long. In other cases, bringing up the classic issues, infrastructure remains a huge issue with everybody. But that benchmark data from years ago still serves us well because we can keep track of things and are we improving? And then the budget part of it is still there that says we give a mythical $1 billion either to cut or to add to the budget, and what would you do with it? And it's interesting how the public responds to that and gives us feedback. So we really do make very good use of that. That is something that council talks about on a regular basis. So I encourage people to fill out the survey and turn it in. It's a little lengthy, but it's well worth it. And we put a stamp on it so you don't have to worry about anything. Just fill it out and put it back in the mail. And
it's a great opportunity to have a voice here in Oshkosh too, and to give that feedback and make sure that the city, we listen to it, we look at every single survey and compile that data and take a look at how we can use it. A great tool for the budget as well. And those are due on March 7th. I got to ask you, every year they have a bonus question, and maybe you can give us a little preview of what that is this year.
Well, the bonus question is very timely with everything going on. We've had a lot of discussion about the Sawdust District with the Bucks D League coming to that area. So we're just asking a very general question about what would you like to see in that Sawdust District area. It's pretty general, but we're also leaving a little bit open-ended, but residential, commercial, what types of things would you like to see? Entertainment, restaurants, apartments, those types of things. To give an idea to the council, here's a snapshot of where the public is on that issue, and we're going to be finalizing that Sawdust District plan anyway. So great time to get that input for the council to take it under advisement as they move on with this.
Yeah, and it'll be really fun to see the different feedback that you get about that too, as far as what people really want in that area. And again, it helps to guide your decision making in the future too. So for those of us who did not receive one in the mail, but we want to kind of get involved and have an opportunity to give feedback, when will that be?
Well, we want to make sure everybody does the mail-in survey. So if you did receive one, please fill it out and turn it in. If you didn't receive one, we're going to make it available around March 6th so that people can start doing it online. And we'll have a window open for a few weeks, and you'll be getting more details later about how and when to do that. So just be on the lookout for it, and we'll give everybody an opportunity to fill it out. But we do keep the mail-in surveys as a separate data set because the students use that for research purposes, and it's very important that they keep that data set secure. But we want everybody else to, if they want to give us some input on it, we certainly want to welcome that as well.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for the background on that. We look forward to hearing the results of the citizen survey very soon. And again, we encourage people to fill them out and send them back in. So now it's that time of the show where viewers have the chance to ask their city manager about anything that's going on here in Oshkosh. It's time for Question Mark. So let's go ahead and see what the question is this week. All right, Mark, so the question today came from Facebook, and that is, what is going on at the old Kmart property on North Keller Street?
Well, yeah, first of all, I got to say it's great that we are getting questions on Facebook. That really shows you that social media is a great outlet. We weren't getting as many emails anymore.
Definitely.
So it's a great way to do it. So thank you, everybody who's looking at it on Facebook and doing that. You're going to actually see something later on when we talk about the agenda, but there are some plans that have been proposed. The only thing that's been going to the city so far is a rezoning of the property, but there's a developer from the Milwaukee area who is proposing kind of a mixed-use type of site. Yeah, everybody's familiar with the Kmart building itself. It's set back very far from North Keller Street, and they're proposing sort of a two-sided coin to this thing. On the backside where the Kmart is, as you can see on this, is a building that will remain in place. It's going to be used for what's called year-round climate-controlled storage, mostly for like corporate or business types, but also some other mini storage around there. But we were very cautious about that because it's adjacent to a residential area, so we wanted to make sure that was okay. But also the idea is to get the retail and move it up, retail or small professional offices, move that closer to the street onto Keller, like you see up and down Keller. So it'd be more in keeping with the atmosphere that you see right there on Keller. So you can see there's a dividing line about halfway through the property, about a little way into the parking lot that exists there right now. So it'll look like it's not as deep, even though there will still be depth to it, but that business storage year-round, it's climate controlled, so it's not like a cold storage like other mini warehouses have. It'll be more supervised and more in and out because businesses will be actively using it. But the idea is to create two separate types of uses. And the council is going to be considering the rezoning. The plan development itself, the design you kind of see there, that'll be coming back at a later time.
And so a big question that a lot of people would ask then when looking at that drawing is what's going to be going in those retails. That is still to be determined. There's no anyone that has said that they're interested quite yet.
Correct. There's nothing that's been proposed there immediately, but I think once that vision is set, then I think more eyes will be looking at that property, because right now all they're looking at and thinking about is the old Kmart property, and that's a tougher sell. So I think this will help move that property a lot quicker and reinvigorate that corridor.
Definitely. Well, it's great to hear that update on a property that a lot of people have been a little curious about for quite a few years. So
yeah.
We're looking forward to seeing some changes happen out there. So if you'd like to send a question to Mark, please send it to us on Twitter or on Facebook. Just search for @City of Oshkosh on Twitter or post on the Oshkosh Media Facebook wall. Or, of course, if you are still an email user for that, you can still email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. We're going to take a quick break here on CMR, and when we return, we're going to go ahead and hit the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, February 28th. We'll be right back.
It is sad but true that for years, some people have been using storm drains to dispose of their wastes. Storm sewers do not treat or clean up anything passing through them. Everything that enters a storm drainage system is eventually discharged in exactly the same form as it entered. These wastes can kill plants and destroy breeding areas. Never pour or dump anything down any storm drain.
Hello Oshkosh, I'm City Manager Mark Roloff, and I'd like to invite you to the 2017 State of the City Address and City Exhibit Expo. This year's event is on Monday, March 20th at the Oshkosh Convention Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. and the State of the City Address will start at 6:30. Following the presentation, we'll honor some standout community members, and we'll close out the night with the Expo, where you can interact with city staff and learn more about ways they're making Oshkosh a great place to live and visit. Monday, March 20th at the Convention Center. We hope to see you there for the 2017 State of the City event.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined by your City Manager, Mark Roloff. And now it is the second half of the show. We're going to go ahead and review the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, February 28th, 2017. So first thing that we want to mention, Mark, is a presentation that's going to be happening for Go H&I, just kind of giving an update on what's going on there. So why don't you give us a little update?
Well, sure. First of all, Go H&I stands for Greater Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods Incorporated. So it's a group that supports our neighborhood associations to achieve a lot of the objectives that we have identified in our strategic plan to strengthen neighborhoods, engage the residents to help guide the vision of their neighborhood, and then help carry it out. So we have the staff of Go H&I that will be there just to give an update to council, because the city has been providing some initial support to Go H&I to basically get themselves moving forward on the right foot, and they're just going to be updating the council on activities to date and what things they see for the future. They're a great partner, and the whole idea is to create this nonprofit organization that can eventually work on its own and be self-supporting to help all the neighborhood associations. So we're real excited to have them join the council.
Definitely. It's great to see an update from an organization with such an important mission. So we're looking forward to hearing more details about what they've been up to and hear about what they're going to be looking forward to in the future here. Under the consent agenda, Mark, number 6, we want to talk about, actually 6 and 7, dealing with the South Park Stormwater Project. One of these is an award bid for the Public Works contract to Michaels, and then the other one is for engineering services agreement with AECom. So give us a little overview of what we're going to be seeing over at South Park.
This is a combination of a stormwater project and a park improvement project. The Departments of Public Works and Parks have been working together, and this gives you a great overview because you see the two big lagoons at South Park, and you know, I notice it because I've been out there and I know the problems there, but as you look at the North Shore there, you can see how it's caved in a little bit over the years because of the erosion that's taken place with so much of the flooding going on there. And we want to increase the stormwater capacity of these ponds to hold more stormwater coming off. And so it's a combination of fixing part of the park because it's been damaged over the years and it needs some refreshing, as it usually does, but also because we're increasing the capacity, the stormwater utility is also partnering with the Parks Department. The idea is to increase the capacity of these ponds and then put some good erosion control, riprap and things like that around the park, make a fishing area, a little outcropping that families can take their kids to go fishing and things like that. So really make it more of what it was intended for in terms of the lagoons, because it's not just something to look at pretty. You can actively do fishing and things like that there. And this is something that the Parks Department and the Parks Board has wanted to do for a long time. So it really is a perfect combination of Public Works and Parks working together to make a great public amenity, as well as control flooding in an area that has seen a lot of flooding over the years, so it's very necessary. This isn't going to solve all the problems in that area, but it'll be a great first step.
Definitely, and it's a win-win, like you said, for both parties. So we're looking forward to having that happen and making use of South Park and little bit of changes too, so that's good. Item number 8, having to do with the Bay Shore area, actually, is an award bid for Public Works Contract 1704 to Carl Bowers and Sons Construction for paving, sidewalk, driveway, and utilities for the concrete paving program. So tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening in the Bay Shore area here, Mark.
This has been discussed a great deal over the past couple months because there were some issues about where sidewalks should go and not go, and this is an older historic area. But this is complete reconstruction of the streets, including water, sewer, and storm underneath, which is very important. A lot of these utilities date back over 100 years. Some are only 90 years old, but they are all well past their useful life. So it's time to get those cleaned up and fixed up for the future. As well as take care of the street. The street is in pretty rough condition. It has been for a number of years, and there's a lot of areas over there. So we've been doing some improvements in the near Lower East Side for a number of years, and this is continuing in that area. And I think this helps improve the neighborhoods in general. We talked about neighborhoods. This is part of it. In the infrastructure, if the infrastructure doesn't look good, the neighborhood doesn't look good. And we're very pleased. And the other thing I'll say is, and I should have mentioned this with the South Park project, both of these projects are significantly under budget. The timing, sometimes it's just the planets are in the right alignment, but we are getting some great bids right now. I'm very pleased and excited about that. The South Park Basin one is easily over $1 million under budget, and I think we got some really good bids out here as well. So that'll lower costs. That'll lower our borrowing costs because we're not going to have to borrow as much. It'll help everybody. So we're very excited to have this project come in under budget and finally get done.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. And under new ordinances, the next thing we're going to discuss here is approve revisions to Chapter 26, Trees and Vegetation of the City of Oshkosh Municipal Code. So what exactly is going to be updated in this part of the municipal code?
This is about disease and infestation protection and prevention. Years ago, we had Dutch elm disease, and we had some things in our ordinance to cover that. The latest unfortunate infestation is with emerald ash borer, and there are things that we need to do when those things happen so that we can prevent the spread of these diseases or infestation. So the ordinance is intended to clean those things up and to give our city forester the ability to move quickly when these types of infestations occur. So it's all about making sure that we're protected for the future, for not just this infestation, but other ones in the future.
Wonderful. Next items we're going to talk about is actually a trifecta here, 24, 25, and 26, all relating to convention center improvements. And it's a really interesting topic here, having to do with the wall coverings and carpeting. Might not seem like an interesting topic, but tell us a little bit about each of these items and how they all relate to create one thing.
Well, it kind of works backwards because we're going to be awarding some bids for some improvements at the convention center. And it's hard to believe, but the convention center has been reopened for 7 years now. And you can see, or excuse me, it's been reopened for 8 years, but normally the carpeting gets a life of only about 7 years. And I've been to enough events over at the convention center, and you can see the wear and tear. The amount of people that are coming to events at the convention center, the usage of it when you're bringing chairs in, tables, and then taking them out, whether it's trade shows or weddings or any other type of event, it really gets a lot of usage. And part of what we're proposing to do is put in carpeting tiles so that if something gets torn up, we can easily replace it because we'll have spares. But there's also other things once you start changing the carpeting, you change color schemes and things like that. So we need to do that to keep it modern and up to date. Fortunately, we can use room tax dollars to pay for these improvements, but by law we have to have debt on our convention center in order to authorize ourselves to borrow for that and to fund it with room tax dollars. And our finance director, Trina Larson, did a great job in doing some research and found that the state trust fund loan program, which we use quite a bit for general type of things, there's a provision that you can use it for with a dedicated revenue source like room tax dollars. So instead of using this for general obligation debt, we're going to use and commit room tax dollars to get these improvements funded and then pay them back exclusively using room tax dollars. So we have to make a little tweak to our ordinance that specifies it because the state wants to make sure they're going to get paid back, but they will. And we're very excited that we're getting these improvements done. And you'll start seeing it over the spring and summer, some of the improvements over there. And a lot of them are very visual. So we're happy to see those improvements happen.
Wonderful. And we're happy to have that funding too, that how it's going to be paid for is always the biggest question. So that's some great news. A lot of really good news on this agenda today, Mark. I'm liking it so far. Next items we're going to talk about 28 and 29, also related to each other, and that is dealing with the Buckstaff redevelopment. One is approving the tax increment district number 31, and the other one is more kind of the details, and that's an agreement with the Fox Valley Pro Basketball Incorporated. So tell us a little bit about what the redevelopment is going to be happening. We're going to see a lot of this on upcoming agendas.
A lot of things are going to be coming forward. In this vein, what we're doing is we're creating a tax increment district to fund the public improvements that are going to be going out there. And then there are also some site improvements that need to get done. And before we transfer the property, normally those things would have been taken care of. Things like stabilizing the soil there and things like that. So it's actively, if you drive by, it's going down a little more every day. That area you see right there is already down, so we're very excited. But we need to get those public improvements funded. The developers for the arena are willing to fund all of the costs associated with the street improvements on South Park, South Main, and 11th Avenue. So we're very excited about that. The idea behind it is, though, that the tax increment district is being formed to reimburse them for costs that we normally incur. So they're fronting the money for us, and we're going to pay them back. And so the tax increment district is being formed to say these are the improvements we're going to do. Item 29, the agreement essentially says they're going to build the arena, they're going to purchase the land for us for $1, and then they're going to put in over $4 million in improvements onto that, on and around the property to get those things done. So we're very excited that they're working very closely with us, and things are very hairy to get done in a very short amount of time, but we're working very diligently to get this done.
Yes, and it's all good news, and we're so excited to actually see things like this on the agenda. We've been talking about it for so long, so we're very happy to see that. Last item we want to talk about, item number 32, Mark, and that is update on charges for extraordinary services for special events. Tell us about it.
Well, this was something that we normally do in January, but it was held back because there were some concerns expressed by event organizers. We had a meeting just this past week with the event organizers. Some of them were concerned because of the timing, and that's legitimate, but there were some issues that we couldn't move on this until the budget was adopted, so our window to get the fees updated was a very short window. We've got those done. We've heard back from the residents, or the organizers, and we're going to report back to council at the March 14th meeting and get their share with them the input we received, and then council can decide how they want to move forth. We are going to need to increase our fees or expand our fee schedule, and that'll be for council to decide.
Wonderful. So we will see this on the March 14th meeting agenda, so we'll probably discuss it a little further on that episode of CMR, and looking forward to a lot of details coming out about that. So
you sure will.
That's going to do it for this episode of City Manager's Report. Mark, thank you as always for joining us today.
Oh, always.
Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, February 28th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website, oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us on Twitter, Facebook, or email it to us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. As always, thank you so very much for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.